All right, everybody. You know what time it is. The Real Talk Sports Show is coming up right now. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Real Talk Sports Show. I'm your host, Minister Jonathan Simmons, and we're very thankful to those of you who decided to join us here on the live broadcast here as we are broadcasting to you. First of all, on Roku TV, on the Phoenix Entertainment Group channel, and on C Room Sports and Entertainment channel. Thank God for all those of you who are watching us via that portal, and also thank God for those of you who are watching us via Facebook, YouTube Live, Periscope, aka Twitter TV. Thanks to each and every one of you who are listening to us here tonight on this live broadcast. And we thank God for those of you who have done it tonight. Hey, as always, lots of stuff to talk about in sports. We're going to get to it in just a moment. And we want you guys to know kind of what we're going to be talking about tonight. So let's go and put up our topics up on the screen. Hopefully they are there ready for me. And bam, there's our topics for tonight. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Olympics. We want to get a feel from you what your thoughts were about the Olympics. Did you enjoy the games? Did you not enjoy the games? So very, very curious to what you guys think about that. Also, should we give the women more props? Yeah, that's a big question. I saw that on social media that, hey, the women did it up big. Should we give them more props? We also, community business outreach, we'll do a little short one today. We want to spotlight someone that has been on our show before. And we will have her on again next week as she is having one of her monthly events coming up real soon. And also talk a little about those Atlanta Braves. They've made a lot of trade. They got players back coming from injuries. Do they have enough to get to the playoffs? That's the question about the Bravos. Can they do it? And, it's second Tuesday. Of course, you guys already know it's Jonesboro Tuesday. So we're going to look forward to having the Jonesboro Cardinals in the building with us as they do every second Tuesday of the month. We'll also talk about the Falcons training camp, a first week update. They also played for the first time practicing in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, had the pads on. I'd like to give you guys talk a little bit about that as well. And, of course, any other hot topics that you guys think that we should be talking about, you can join us here on the broadcast and do so. We would love to have you do it. Well, I don't do this thing on my own. I always like to bring in one of the most beautiful ladies on sports radio and TV. We simply know her as the Queen. Let me get my cursor working right. There I am. And we now bring in the lovely Miss Tree Dolman. Tree, welcome back. Wait a minute. There she is. Ta-da!
Hello. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
Doing all right.
All right. And also we have in the building not one, but two-time Super Bowl champion. And according to everyone that watched the broadcast, he has the best backdrop in the building. I'm talking about the one and only Mr. Tyrone Poole is now in the building. What's going on, sir?
Hello, everyone. How we doing? How's everybody on this great day that was not promised? How you doing, Miss Tree? How you doing, Minister Simmons?
Doing fantastic.
How you doing, Tyrone?
I'm doing excellent.
Well, you said that was very true, sir. None of these days are promised to us. So I don't know about anybody else who's watching. I know me personally, I'm very, very thankful to the Lord that I'm here. Amen. Because, sometimes these days you just never know, man. A lot of things happen, good, bad, or indifferent. So like I said, again, I'm just happy to be here and happy to be, with you guys today. So again, thank God to all of you. Well, listen, before we get started, I got to go around the room real quick, see what everybody did for the weekend. Tyrone Poole, what was your weekend activity, sir?
My weekends are just as normal as watching paint dry. I don't do too much. Just I do all my stuff during the week, and on the weekends I just relax, catch up, re-energize myself, get my mental focus back, try to plan for the upcoming week. So all my weekends are spent just chilling. So nothing really exciting to report from my training camp.
Okay, Tyrone, you make it sound so blasé. I know, sir. You being a hardworking, husband, father, all that kind of stuff. It's work. I know it seems a little mundane to the public, but that is hard work. Before I ask Miss Tree Dome what she did, let's go ahead and we give a big shout out on Facebook. This is a guy that actually used to engineer our program when we were on WIGO radio only, before we even do any live stream. Bruce Porter from the 216 Cleveland, giving us a big shout out. What's good with you as well? All right, the Queen, how about your weekend, ma'am?
Well, my weekend was very busy. I was actually at the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio, and it was very tough with this being the first Pro Football Hall of Fame without my hubby. But it was also great to be around my Hall of Fame family and to see the class of 2020 and 2021 go into enshrinement.
Yeah, no doubt. I know that must have been very, very tough for you. But again, just cool to kind of be in the mix of, all these great players, with your husband as a part of that very unique and small fraternity of men that have been chosen by their peers to be amongst the greatest of all time. So again, good for you to get out there and mix with the other folks. And now, from your perspective, did you get a chance to stay through the whole weekend, the ceremonies? If so, who are maybe the top two guys as far as their acceptance speeches?
Well, my favorite was Peyton Manning, because I love how he cracked his jokes. He made jokes of the bus be speaking to themselves, which we all say that we think that they do, and just he had everybody laughing, and he was able to include so many great people in his speech in a short time and made light of the fact that their speeches were supposed to be held down to 6 minutes.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting. And then I saw a picture of his bust. I don't know, Tyrone, I don't know if you saw a picture of it, but it looked like his head was a little big. That forehead was like, I don't know who sculpted that, but I might have said something about that too. So anyway, yeah. So that's great stuff. Hall of Famers. Troy Polamalu was a guy like. How about you, Tyrone? Did you get a chance to watch it? Number one, and if so, kind of who stuck out for you as far as a guy that you say, hey, I kind of like this speech.
Anybody that gets to that level, they all stuck out. But again, like Tree said, Peyton did put a little bit of spin from the normal speech that people give, thanking everybody from kindergarten all the way up to the last coach they coached for. So, Peyton did put a little different spin on it to a point. But again, all those guys, they're just terrific. I played with Peyton, played with Edge. So, those guys really, my hat goes off to them. So I remember when they first came in. I remember when Peyton, he threw so many interceptions his rookie year. I'm like, our defense couldn't even sit down to get a couple of Gatorade. It's like we get off the field, we don't win about 8 plays, 10 plays, and we finally get off the field. The offense get the ball and go to grab your cup, take your helmet off. Defense. Yeah, throw the trap. We got to run back out there on the field, man. But the very next year, we went 13 to 13-3. Edge being the draftee in '99, Peyton, of course, in '98, and man, our offense was unstoppable. So they finally put that thing together. But all of them, my hat goes off to the 2021 class.
Yeah, and Tree, you ought to be happy that Tom Brady had shown some love to another Hall of Famer, Mr. Woodson. So yeah, there's a lot of good stuff going on. Like you mentioned, Tyrone. Always good to see greatness on display. So yeah, just kudos to all those guys that made it, because that's you amongst the best of the best. And Tyrone, you played the game.
No, definitely. Like you said, Rod, Charles Woodson, and don't forget about the coaches and everything like that. Those guys, they get inducted, and they didn't get there. It takes a lot of wins. It takes a lot of winning big games, crucial plays. So my hat goes off to the 2021 Hall of Fame class. That's one stop that everybody wants to get to. But I still say this now: if you ask any of those people in the Hall of Fame, would they want the Hall of Fame ring or a Super Bowl ring? They all, I bet, majority would say they want that Super Bowl ring.
Not my husband.
Really?
Yeah, he told me, he said, when you're playing, all you want to do is win a Super Bowl and get that Super Bowl ring. But he said, I never won a Super Bowl, but I'm in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And he said, that's a community and a family that very few get into. And he said, I'd much rather have the Hall of Fame ring than a Super Bowl ring. And when you look at it, you look at how many people get a Super Bowl ring, and you look at how many men have been enshrined in the Hall of Fame. Very small number.
But this is why I say that the Super Bowl ring. I hear a lot of guys that say, everybody has that different opinion. But what makes the Super Bowl ring so different, you have 53 guys that you went to training camp with that had injuries. Y'all helped each other off the field, and still through it all, you guys won this together. Hall of Fame, I get it, but it's different guys from different eras, different teams. So y'all come together, but nothing like that Super Bowl. It's just like, that's my brother. That's my sister. Man, we went through the cold. Do you remember when it was 66 degrees outside and I had a pulled hamstring and I was running? So those are stories that you can't get the Hall of Fame ring, but you can get them as you chase that Super Bowl trophy. But both of them are great. Both of them are great.
They are.
To have.
Well, there's no question. I think that anybody that suits it up for the NFL, I think that they would be more than happy at the end of their career to get either one.
Yes.
Those definitely are big, huge honor. So again, hats off to all those guys who were able to endure that and go through it. And like you said, again, it just was great stuff to see. All right.
It is. And I have to give a huge shout out to Steve Hutchinson, Skull Vikings, and Calvin Johnson, Megatron, One Pride.
Wow, she had to get that Michigan Detroit connection in some kind of way. She had to make sure NFC North, everybody in there. All right. Speaking of everybody in there, all right, we just finished up with the Olympics. What did you guys think? Final recap, your thoughts. First, Tyrone, what was your feelings about this year's Olympics, sir?
Well, the first thing about it is when they did the Olympics intro, why it was so fun to me, the intro. My son and my daughter had an opportunity to participate in the USA Youth Track and Field Olympics. So they try to mimic the same thing. They have their regions in the Olympics. They come out as far as in different countries. In the youth track and field, they have it broken down in regions. Like we may be in region 12, California may be region 4, and so on and so on. So you got about a certain number of regions, and you come out with your region representing your particular event. So that was the highlight, but it was also sad because of the COVID situation. There were not a lot of spectators, but you still had people coming out waving and taking pictures and everything, just like it was a full capacity there. So that was the one thing that stood out from the beginning of the Olympics. So I got tons and tons of more things, but I want everybody to get their take in as well.
All right, Tree, how about you? What'd you think?
I thought that the Olympics were just phenomenal. They were heartfelt, warm. It was just beautiful to see the tears of joy. These people worked so hard day in and day out for years to compete. And then with this Olympics, they had to keep themselves in shape an additional year to be prepared for the Olympics, to compete against the best and the best of the world. And so to see all the gold medals that the USA won, all of the silver medals, all of the bronze medals, and honestly, my favorite medal is the young lady who tripped and fell on the track, got back up, and won gold in her race. I'm going to use her story forever. that's just a story of perseverance and never giving up. And so the Olympics to me were just phenomenal. I enjoyed watching them. I'm still watching replays, and it was a great thing to see.
Yeah. Well, there it is. I would give you my comments, but got to go to a break. All right, guys, you're watching and listening to the Real Talk Sports Show. We'll be back in just a moment. Don't go nowhere, because you know what time it is. It's time for Jonesboro Tuesday, but you won't see it unless you stay right here. We'll be back.
This is OJ Howard with Real Talk Sports.
What's up, guys? This is Tim Tebow. You're listening to Real Talk Sports.
This is Charles Woodson. Let me grab the mic. You ready? This is Charles Woodson with Real Talk Sports. Hey, it's your boy JB Smooth with Real Talk Sports.
Well, you know, I had to get the Hall of Famer in there. Yes, sir. Mr. Woodson, got a chance to meet him actually at the Super Bowl in Miami. And at that time, he had not been selected. And in the interview, I actually said, hey, Hall of Famer Charles Woodson. He said, not yet, man. I said, no, but I'm speaking into existence. And voila, just a couple years later, he is, in fact, now in the Hall of Fame where he belongs. Outstanding player for both the Packers and the Raiders. So, again, big shout out to, again, everybody that got in. Well, we got some potential Hall of Famers here with us. We don't know what these young men will develop into be, but we know that they are playing and doing good things here in our community. We're going to go here to the head coach, assistant coach, and players from Jonesboro High School. Number one, head coach, Mr. Timothy Floyd. Sir, welcome back.
Hello. Thank you. It's always an honor and pleasure to be here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I think you have your backup man in the building, Mr. Social Media himself, Coach Sir. Are you there, sir?
Yes, sir. How you guys doing?
There it is. We're doing good. Good to have you in the building. All right, Coach, I think you have a couple of young men with you here. Why don't you do the introduction? I'll bring them on the screen. Who you got?
We have Marcus Wilkes, one of our senior offensive linemen, and Destin London, one of our senior tight ends.
Well, there we go, gentlemen. Welcome to the show. How y'all doing?
I'm doing good.
All right. Well, we want to go ladies first. Tree, I know you have some questions for the young man. What you got?
I do. So my question is, a lot of times when you're young and you get to watch people do what you aspire to do, and I don't know if any of you plan on playing in the NFL, but I'm curious to know, did either of you watch the Pro Football Hall of Fame? And if so, did it motivate you just a little more? And do you one day want to see yourselves there? I'll start with you, Marcus.
I didn't watch it, but I know about like the Hall of Fame and like all the players who are in there and stuff. And not only were those guys good players on the field, but they were good players off the field. So I feel like a lot of half of it is really like what you do off the field. So I try to take that and like try to also be like a good teammate on and off the field.
I love it. That's true. It's not just about what you do on the field. And what about you, Destin?
I did watch the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I was actually able to meet one of the players one-on-one, Calvin Johnson, and piggybacking off of what Marcus said, he was a great guy on the field and a great guy off the field. So he's taught me a lot on and taught me a lot off.
I love that. Great guy, isn't he? I was able to talk with him too. So, do you one day want to see yourselves there?
Yes, I would like to be there.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, you guys are no doubt out to a good start. Tyrone, what questions or even words of wisdom might you have from our Jonesboro Cardinals, sir?
I know Tree led off by talking about the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But here's something that I want to give to you guys, but I'm going to turn it into a question. All those guys that prior, whether they were inducted in the 70s, the 80s, or even this year, they all had a pattern. They all followed some type of roadmap, somebody that they tried to mimic, they tried to emulate. Because I do believe if you haven't gone somewhere, you got to find somebody that has been there and you try to emulate. You can't be them, but you emulate. So my question is to both of you guys, Destin and Mark, who is your favorite sports person that you try to mimic in reference to your game?
My favorite sports person would be Julio, because I like how he carries himself on the field. He'll more so let his game do the talking. He doesn't have to sit there and speak too much on the field. He'll more so just keep quiet, keep to himself, but still get the work done.
All right, Marcus.
One of the people I like is Calais Campbell. He doesn't play the same position as me, but he's a real leader, and like at the same time he likes to have fun and joke around and stuff. I'm a fan of the Ravens, so I watch a lot of like behind the scenes stuff, so I see like he's a great personality to have on the team.
And and all these guys again talk about the Pro Football Hall of Fame. The one thing that you would ask them, say basically if you could ask them any of them, what are some things that got you to where you are? Yeah, they're gonna name the hard work and all that, but at the end of the day, they're gonna say, I played the game, I made it fun. I made it fun. So my question to both of you guys, how do you and your teammates make practice fun? And either way, I'll start with Marcus. Go ahead, Marcus. Well, we got a good story. That's a good question there, because they laugh and they got some type of story.
It's just well, practice is usually fun most of the time. It's Tuesday.
Most of the time. Coach. But go ahead, Marcus.
Tuesday is really is really like one of the best days on the week, because we usually go live, and like the energy that day is supposed to be above the roof. So that's what like makes like practice fun. Me, I necessarily growing up, I've always like games, but like when it comes to Tuesday, I fun.
All right.
Destin, you were laughing, so go ahead.
What make practice fun for us is when we really competing with each other, because we go offense and defense back and forth. So some days it'll just be like a real dog fight, and it'll keep going back and forth between offense and defense, and you can tell the energy there is great.
I think Destin changed his response up on us. I think he changed it up on us. That's not what he really wanted to say out there. Look at it, yeah.
It's just been tough the past few days. It's been tough the past few days.
You've been working them hard, Coach?
Yeah, we had some things we had to get in order before we could talk about the football stuff. So it's been tough.
Well, look, there go Dustin. It must be something there, because he done ducked out a couple of times. He's laughing again. So something has went down there on the Cardinal field. Well, let me ask you this, Coach, real quick. So have you guys played a scrimmage already? 'Cause I know a lot of teams scrimmaged last week. Did you guys play?
We did scrimmage last week up Cartersville. And it was full of life lessons, I'd say. Full of life lessons.
Yep. Yeah, Carterville's a very tough team, tough program, and you guys had to go up there and play, didn't you?
Yeah, we went up there to play, and it was a great environment. The band got to travel with us, Chili's got to travel with us, and like I said, it was full of life lessons.
Well, we're gonna leave it right there, Coach Serp. How did you think your guys performed there on that big stage in Carterville, taking the trip up, bringing the band? What are kind of your thoughts?
I think my guys did pretty good. I challenged them a little bit, and I think they met the challenge. And we just gotta get better and better.
And so now, do you guys have another scrimmage coming up this week? Do you guys play?
No, we're off this week, getting ready for next Friday night.
Hold on a second. Well, what's happening next Friday night, Coach?
It says going down at Terra Stadium. Us, the mighty Cardinals against the school around the corner.
Oh, man. I mean, Coach, you can't even name the school. You don't even call the school's name out. The school around the corner. Well, for those people who are not familiar, that is the kickoff. What Clayton County does is they have all the big rivalry games at each one of the stadiums. So I think it's Lovejoy against Monday's Mill. I think it's Riverdale against North Clayton. And then the game we'll be covering, folks. Go to www.realtalksports.net for full live coverage of the game. Yeah, so we'll be there at Tara Stadium. It will be the backyard brawl, Mount Zion, in parentheses, Jonesboro, versus the Jonesboro Cardinals. So y'all come on out. We're going to invite Mount Zion to come on next week so we can be fair and give both teams a little publicity and coverage. But I know, Coach, you're excited because, I mean, what better way to kick off a season than with a rivalry game?
Yeah, you're right. We're very excited. It's a rivalry game. Anything can go down. We're looking for an exciting physical game, and we just got to buckle up, be ready to go.
Tyrone, let me ask you a question, sir. Did you played down, I think, at LaGrange? Did you have who was your rival back when you played high school?
Griffin High School, Noonan High School, Jonesboro, Fayette County, Morrow. We used to beat them boys into the ground, man. And then when we got to the playoffs, of course, it was Valdosta, LaGrange High School. There was a time, basically it was all the teams down south. Them boys, I think they just sit back and eat beans and go cut wood and everything like that. That country strong, as they would say. But no, it was Griffin High School and Noonan. Those were our two rivals.
Yeah, I would expect Noonan being right down the road from you guys, obviously, and Griffin, a legendary program down closer to us. But yeah, great stuff. So, Tree, who did you have kind of a rivalry team, and did your co-host have a rivalry? Because as soon as I said that, there she goes. She got fired up again. She was supposed to be a cat down the road.
She hears a dog outside. My apologies.
The rivalry?
But yes, we did actually. So I went to Bishop Borges, and our rivalry was St. Martin de Porres, Benedictine, Detroit Country Day. But I'm happy to say that we always beat our rivals. So that was always great. It wasn't really competition. They really rivaled against us. We didn't really rival against them because we were number one.
Wow. She said there was no competition, that rivalry. We just beat the brakes off them.
None.
I got to put the shades on here. Y'all throwing a lot of shade tonight. She's talking about she beat the brakes off of her opponents, and Tyrone forgetting that we're based in Clayton County. So, oh, yeah, we always beat the brakes off them guys.
Hey,
Tyrone.
I got to say this, though. I know with the young guys, Marcus and Destin, I got to say this about myself coming up in our program at LaGrange High School. I want to ask you guys how you guys feel, okay? It was like a privilege, man. It was like almost like the Hall of Fame when we felt like we put that helmet on and that jersey, because our helmets represented similarly to the Dallas Cowboys. We had the star, we got LG inside the star. So when we put that helmet on, man, we just felt like it just transformed us, and we were like just so happy. I remember when I first got my helmet, I slept with my helmet. No lie, I slept in bed with my helmet. That's how much playing on that LaGrange High School football team meant to me. So, Marcus, Destin, how does it feel for you guys when you put that uniform on? I'm like, does it like energize you and you feel like you become like Superman, taking and ripping your shirt? How do you guys feel when you represent your high school?
When I put myself on, usually right before the game, I know on the way there on the bus, I always have everything. But as soon as I put my stuff on, like when we run through we have like a flag that we run through. When we run through it, it's wide open. Everything that got nothing to do with the game is to the side, and feel like my energy just amps up.
For me, one, our game jerseys is a lot more comfortable. But similar to what Marcus said, it's more so not necessarily the jersey. It's sort of like the beginning of the game when we running through the banner and we got our sort of like our fight song playing from our band. It's something about that energized me a lot more than anything else.
Yeah. And yeah, I just say that because, guys, I know the tradition, like for me, my high school, the number that I have, like 21 was the number that I played with. I can count the number of people, myself growing up, who wore that number 21. So when I put that thing on, it's like, man, I'm representing. It's almost like you playing for the Atlanta Falcons. And you put 21 on, man, look at you, Dion had 21. So that's what it meant to me. I got to carry on the legacy for that 21. So the next person to put it on, man, you remember Tyrone Poole had 21. So again, that's why I'm like, sometimes the band and all that stuff strike you up, and man, following the footsteps of the people who gone before me. So, but that's good stuff, though. Good stuff.
Hey guys, you can see once you play ball, it never go away. Because as soon as Tyrone started talking, see how he got animated. That's why I'm glad I'm not in the studio with him, because he might try to hit me. So I'm just, he won't touch the queen. But with me, like, oh yeah, he might get a flashback. So I'm like, I'm glad that you are far away from the studio. But listen, guys.
But you know what? I love that, because that's what it takes for you to really be as great as he is. He didn't win one Super Bowl. He won 2. And he played in the NFL, very successful. But you have to have that passion. That's the same way I am about volleyball and basketball. You have to have that passion. So if you're playing the sport because your parents are telling you to play it, but you're not really passionate about it, then you're not playing for the right reasons. So I love seeing that passion and excitement still in his voice. And you can just see how much he loves the game.
And no doubt, y'all not playing. Well, look, it's go ahead, Coach.
All right. Before we left, I had to give a shout out to the band and the Majestic Cardinals. They're participating in a competition where they get a chance to win $10,000.
Whoa!
And I did this one special for you. I got their IG page where people can go to the link and support it. All right, at Jonesboro _MMC.
Let me see if I get that. Let me get that down. Get my glasses on, Coach. Stay right there on the screen. You said it's at Jonesboro _MMC on Instagram, right? That's on IG. All right.
Yes, sir.
Let's see if I can get that popped up on the screen here. Hope I spelled it right. My glasses. Let's see what we got here. And bam, is that it?
Yes, sir.
Pop. There we go. So there you go, guys, right there. Check them out. At Jonesboro MMC. That's where they are on Instagram. Please support them. Go like their page. It's a relatively new page. Help them out. And of course, you know how we do it here. We got our man Coach Syrup. He's got to wrap us up here with the official what's going on here and all the social media names. Coach Syrup. Oh, let me get him back in the stream here. There he is. All right, Coach, y'all everywhere on social media. Let's get it.
All right, you can find us on Facebook at Jonesboro High, on Instagram at JHS Cardinal Football, on Twitter at JHS Cardinal FB, and also our recruiting page is Recruit J Borough FB.
Wait a minute, they got a recruitment page? What? Oh man, I have to approach that. Well, guys, you see the basic pages right there. Jonesboro High School Football is on Instagram, JHS Cardinal Football, at Twitter at JHS Cardinal FB. Please support the Cardinals. Matter of fact, just support all of the high school football teams. There's so many here. We're going to try to do as much as we can to cover the guys on the south side. Great stuff going on here in Clayton County, Henry County, South Fulton County. Just some big stuff going on, guys. So again, support these teams. Come on out and show them some love. All right, Coach. Until next time, we appreciate you, gentlemen. Dustin, Marcus, Coach Syrup. Peace.
Let's go thorough.
All right, guys, don't go nowhere. We got more great sports talk here on the Real Talk Sports Show. We'll be back in just a moment. Please don't go nowhere. Thank you. Are you in the market for a new vehicle? Well, check out Allen Vigil Ford Lincoln in Morrow, Georgia. We have one of the largest inventories in our area for both new and pre-owned vehicles, so we're sure to have something for everyone. Family owned and operated since 1982, customer satisfaction is our #1 priority. Come see our full lineup of vehicles and find the one that best fits you. Give us a call. The day has arrived. It's time to let more people know about your business. You have the right marketing plan and the messaging in place. But do you have the right messenger? Good advertising and promotions need a professional sound so the message can be clearly understood. Don't leave your brand image to chance. Let our team of voiceover experts at CME lend you a hand. Give us a call at 678-304-8121 to find out how we can partner with you to give your business its voice. Guys, again, thank you for joining us here on the Real Talk Sports Show. I want to give a big shout out here. She's going to be joining us next week. Our good buddy, Tamari Scott, CEO and owner of Be Merry Events and Art Studio. She's doing something a little different this month. The pop-up shop is going to be focusing around the kids. It's called the Little Entrepreneurs Pop-Up Shop. It's next Saturday, not this Saturday, but next Saturday, August 21st, from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. There is some limited space also for adult vendors. Everyone is welcome. Please come out and, again, support our future inventors and business leaders. You can call the register at 678-978-7855. Again, that is the Little Entrepreneurs Pop-Up Shop. If you got a youngster at home, a niece or nephew that you know, a grandbaby that's been, I don't care what they're doing, selling lemonade, they might be making cookies, please sign up. It's only $25 to sign up. You get a vendor booth there, and it'll really give people a chance to support the young people. So please, ma'am, please, sir, check them out. There's the number to call, 678-978-7855. Hey, if you're an adult and you maybe have some a kids game or something like that, give them a call. Adult spaces are $50 if you're an entrepreneur. But again, even if you don't, the admission is free. Come on out and support the children, because as you know, the children are our future. So hopefully you guys can come on out and do that. Well, what do you guys think? Once again, Jonesboro, man, they those young men are very impressive.
That they are.
Yeah, very impressive. And, the thing I like about high school football, the fact that you give these young men an opportunity to represent their communities, represent their families. They get an opportunity to get a very early start on being the one that the family member come to watch them play. Plus I like the fitness aspect of it, which hopefully a lot of them that don't go into college will still keep the fitness aspect of what they learned. It's just so many things. But the three things that I would say I enjoy about high school football that I believe all athletes, not even just football, just period, women's sports, men's sports, I just think sports teaches you persistence, patience, and you got to learn how to practice, practice the right way. It used to be, they say, practice makes perfect. No, it's perfect. Practice makes perfect. So these young men, especially at Jonesboro High School, they have an opportunity to learn the 3 Ps and represent their community.
No doubt, man. It's always good to see that. And Tree, I know you've been nodding back there. I'm sure you're in full agreement.
Yeah, no, I agree with Tyrone. It's not practice makes perfect, because some people, they don't put their all into practice. So exactly what he said, I agree. Perfect practice makes perfect, because how you practice is how you're going to play. A lot of times athletes see these great plays being made in the game and they're just like, oh, how did they do that? And it's just like my husband would always say with golfing. And people say, oh, that's such a hard shot. How did you make that shot? And he was like, well, it's not hard when you practice it every day. So if you practice those difficult things, then they're not as difficult, and you'll see how you'll make many amazing plays when you actually get in the game, because you're practicing tough. And I also want to say, I did like how the gentlemen were speaking about it not just being on the field. Too many times, a lot of our athletes, they think it's just about the court and that they can go off the court and do what they want and act how they want or treat people any type of way. When you're a real athlete, that carries over into life. Be respectful to people. Treat people how you want to be treated. Be on time. It's just all of those things that I love that comes from sports and that unity. And so it was nice to hear the guys talking about their character, because character matters more than how you play the game.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah. So it's always good to see that. And we want to give a big shout, and we look forward to having them on during the season. The great guys over at the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, they're virtually in almost every school. And these guys really make a big input in kind of putting together faith and football, and of course other sports, and encouraging the schools to even get more involved in terms of getting the young people out and about. Several of the guys talk about the fact they go do stuff like feed the homeless, and they go visit the senior citizens, all those things, Tyrone, as you pointed out, that not just makes for good football players, but that makes for good men. So, or good women, whichever may apply. So again, we appreciate all those adults and all those groups who pour into these young men, no doubt about it. Well, there we go.
I was in the Fellowship of Christian Athletes in college.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, they just do a phenomenal job. They're one of the few institutions, along with the Athletes in Action, that the schools still kind of let them kind of go in and do some, faith-based kind of instructions and meetings. So yeah, just kudos to all those guys and gals that do a great job with the FCA and with the Athletes in Action. Well, we talked a little bit about the Olympics. We had our Jonesboro Tuesday on here. We'll talk a little bit real quickly about the Braves. I don't know if you guys have been watching, but if you remember a couple of weeks ago, everybody had the Braves pretty much dead in the water. They were about 4 or 5 games under 500. They were languishing in about 5.5 games out of first place. Their pitchers were constantly blowing games, but due to some very nice trades and the beginning comebacks of some players that have been injured, the Braves now find themselves alone in second place, just 2 games behind the Phillies. You guys buying or selling this team could, get to the postseason? Tyrone, I'll hit you up first.
Of course, I think they can get to the postseason. They have the Phillies, which when you look at the division, 59 wins in the East, and that's by the Phillies. And then you look at the Central, you got the Brewers, that's 67. Then you look at the West, you got the Giants sitting at 71 wins. So, yes, I do believe that the Braves can come out and win the East and have an opportunity to go into the postseason. But how far they go in the postseason, now that is another question.
Tyrone is already making sure that nobody gets too hyped as a Braves fan. Tree, what do you think about the Braves? You think they got a shot to get their way into the playoffs here?
I do think they have a shot to make their way into the playoffs. And I will say, a lot of times what I say in all sports, once you get to the playoffs, it's like a different team. So as long as they get to the playoffs, and if everybody can step up, you never know. They may be able to shock the world and go far in the playoffs. But we'll see. It really just depends on the gut that they can give.
Doubt, I think anything's possible with this team. I do think, let's see if I can kind of look at some of these stats here. First of all, you got a situation where Freddie Freeman is now back, being more like Freddie Freeman. I'm going to pop these stats up so everybody can see him here. Ronald Acuna obviously is out, but Freddie Freeman is starting to show you why he was the MVP last year. He had been batting around 240. He's got his batting average up to around 297 now. He's tied for the lead for the team in home runs, 24 homers, 63 runs batted in. One of the 2 big unsung heroes on this team, Austin Riley, a guy who was a highly touted guy in the minor league system, now is showing why he was that way. 23 home runs, 68 runs batted in. And very quietly, the little second baseman, the tiny guy, Ozzie Albies, leads the team in RBIs. He's got 72 runs batted in. So, yeah, this is a team that has all the pieces in place. They brought some great guys in via trades. A gentleman by the name of Soler, they brought him in. He's already got 3 homers in 9 games. And they brought back a guy who was with the team before. So, yeah, I think this is a team that can do some work because the East it's not that good. So I think the Braves might make some noise and sneak into the playoffs, and who knows what may happen when they get in there.
Now, I was trying not to say that. That's why I actually gave the winnings, the Phillies. That the Braves were 2 games behind them, but then I went to the Central. The wins go up. Then you go to the West, the wins go up. So those teams in the Central and the West, they don't have those wins for nothing. They're playing some pretty good baseball. So, but yeah, like we're all saying, the Braves, I do think they have an opportunity to win their division and hopefully go into the playoffs. And like Tree said, hey, you never know. You never know. It happens in professional football. Team can come in as a wild card and they go all the way to the Super Bowl. All you got to do is just catch that spark at the right time. But, baseball, I don't know if one man can win a game, but we'll see. We'll see.
Well, at the end of the day, I mean, you look at the Dodgers, they're pretty much stacked. They just added to an already great team. They already have a Cy Young Award winner, added another one from Washington when they brought in Scherzer. So they're stacking this team up. They got Mookie Betts, a former MVP, so the team is stacked. But all that being said, we've seen it in before where teams have been upset. We've seen mighty Yankee teams get shocked. We remember about 20 years ago, they played the Arizona Diamondbacks. Who would have thought they would have knocked off the mighty Yankees? But they did. So, yeah, man, once you get in there and start playing, Tyrone, I have to tell you, a lot of people looked at the defending Super Bowl champion, St. Louis Rams, greatest show on turf. They were saying Patriots, oh, what they going to do? You know, we found out. So, yeah, anything's possible. So I think the Braves might do some work, and we'll just have to keep our eyes on that team and see what can happen. Well, let's before we shift gears here, I got to take a quick little mini break here. You're watching the Real Talk Sports Show. Please don't go nowhere because you know what we're going to talk about next? Your Atlanta Falcons. Stay tuned for more, please. Don't go nowhere. Thank you. Did you know that Allen Vigil Ford in Morrow, Georgia also has Lincoln? Over 35 years of using the Vigil Touch to provide excellent customer service, works hand in hand with the Lincoln Motor Company to provide a luxurious and seamless way to acquire your next luxury vehicle. Lincoln has an array of full-service complimentary owner benefits. These benefits include hospitality partnerships, service pickup and delivery, all which can be accessed through the Lincoln Way app. You can even contact the 24/7 concierge to have someone assist you. Come and see our great inventory of new and pre-owned Lincolns today. Call 678-364-7345 to make an appointment with one of our brand champions or shop 24/7 online at allenvigillincoln.net. All right, we're back here. Final segment here, the Real Talk Sports Show. Appreciate all those of you who've been watching us here on various platforms. Big shout out to those who've been watching us on YouTube. Big shout out to those of you who are watching us on Facebook Live and on Periscope, which is still Twitter TV operating and cranking. All right, the Falcons now have moved into full bore NFL training camp. They had it open to the public as they do each and every year. Kudos to them for letting the public come back out. It's totally free when you go out to Flowery Branch. The food, everything is about $1 or $2, so you can bring your kids and come out and have a good time. And then they were back in Mercedes-Benz Stadium for only $5, and you come in and check them out. Tyrone, have you got a chance? Huh?
I'm sorry. Now I was just going to say, can I say one thing before we go to the Falcons?
Come on, jump on in there.
How excited am I that they signed John Collins? I'm just saying, I just had to, it's official, John Collins and Stain. So I just wanted to say that because I know once we go to the Falcons, that'll take us to the end of the show.
Well, let's do this. Let's before we get into the Falcons, let's touch on that just a little bit. Yeah, so no doubt the Hawks now are stacked. They continue to make a team that probably is one of the deepest teams in the league right now. If you look at them from top to bottom, they still are in that position where they can go 9 players and really give you actually a first team and legitimate second team that can compete in the league. So, yeah, you got to be excited. Tyrone, what do you think about the new look Hawks, what they've done, what they've added?
I don't think I would call it new look Hawks. I think I'll call it the consistency of the Hawks going forward, because normally in the past, they would let great players go. So now it seems like the organization finally realizes that you got to have consistency in order to win a championship. You go back and look at any team that has won consistent championships. They get there, they get a taste of it, then they go and bring in a couple of missing pieces, but they keep the nucleus intact. So like we all talked about the last show, hey, John, you're a great player, sign a deal here with the Hawks, and maybe somewhere in those negotiations, there's an option year here, and then you can come back and even get more money. So it's good to see that the Hawks are keeping the continuity of what they just did together for the next upcoming basketball season. So Atlanta Hawks fans are probably foaming at the mouth, because if what they did this year was good, they bring everybody back and they just added a couple of pieces, then we can't go no lower than what we did this year.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt. So if you look at the team now, like I said, again, you got John Collins in place. You got Trae Young signing a pretty much max deal for his rookie contract. And, of course, it was announced that the guy that he's always going to be linked to, Luka Doncic, signed an identical contract. So at $207 million over the 5 years spread out. They're set up, and I got to tell you, the one guy that I think is going to be the steal for this team is Sharif Cooper, a guy that lives right up the road here and grew up right in Cobb. His sister actually plays for the LA Sparks. That guy there, when I said to myself before, if they could get him, he is the perfect backup to Trae Young. Perfect.
Yeah. And see, basketball is one of them sports in my mind that the continuity has to be there. It's like you got to know each other. It's like I go back into the Laker days, man, with Magic and James Worthy and Abdul-Jabbar and Cooper. I'm like, Magic knew them guys so good, he knew, and they knew Magic. So they knew Magic was going to pass it right here, even though it looked like he was going to take the shot. So continuity builds that, and you play off of each other. So basketball is one of them sports that you definitely got to keep the continuity together if you want to win championships.
Yeah, I'm not going to really mention the Lakers too tight. I grew up in New England, so we kind of didn't necessarily like the West Coast boys too much, but that's a whole nother story. Anyway,
Boston, even in Boston, Bird, you got
McHale, Parrish,
Johnson. All them guys were together for so long, they knew each other. So that's what I'm trying to get at. No matter what team you look at, if they have won championships or they have won consistently, they stay together, they learn each other.
Yeah, no doubt. And Tree, I know you've seen the same thing. And you had, listen, your boys in Detroit, you won you won some NBA titles back with the Bad Boys, and they did it again, shook up the world about 15, 20 years later. So you've seen the same thing.
Definitely. I agree. When you play with players, you know what they're going to do. You expect this, you expect that. They know you're going to do this, and it definitely makes a difference. And that's what you see with championship teams.
I want to answer a question here on social media on Facebook. Tank Dorsey says, are y'all on YouTube? Yes, we are on YouTube. Go to Real Talk Sports TV, and the broadcast will be cranking right now. And yeah, we there. Yes, sir. You're right. We right there on YouTube. And that's where we're going to be for the high school football games. Remember to check us out on Friday nights. We'll be doing Friday Night Live from Tower Stadium starting August the 20th. First game, the Backyard Brawl. Yeah, so when I look at this Hawks team, like I mentioned earlier, they're completely a deep team. It's going to be curious how they match up with the league, the rest of the league, which apparently is following the trend that LeBron set up in LA, where the league is now getting bigger, where a lot of teams are stacking up multiple bigs. It's going to be interesting to see how the Hawks wing players, the speed, the length of these guys are able to compete in what's going to be a bigger, tougher NBA.
I don't know. I feel like, you got to play to your abilities. We've seen it done so many ways. We've seen the Golden State Warriors beat you from the outside. We've seen certain teams, like you say, back in the day, the old Houston Rockets, they had Akeem Olajuwon and Ralph Sampson. They thought they can get two big men, and still, they had trouble winning championship. But at the end of the day, it comes back to continuity, playing to your strength. And big guys, I feel like they get tired. So if you're small, fast, guerrilla warfare, we're going to beat them down the court. So it goes back to that Los Angeles Lakers. That's why them Boston Celtics didn't like to play them Lakers, because they knew they had the condition all week long, because them boys were coming to run.
I don't know about that big guys get tired stuff, though.
I knew Tree was going to come in. A woman that played the 4 and the 5, she ain't trying to hear that.
Short guys get tired too. So as long as you work out and you're in shape, you can run that floor. I know a lot of bigs that can run the floor. Okay. And what my coach always said, rest on offense, not on defense. So big guys can run with the best of them.
Okay, that may be true. There's probably some give and take on that. But one thing you cannot disagree with, I don't believe, is the fact that a smaller guy will out-quick a big guy. So you get that big guy to come out and let him play defense, boom, you shoot by him. So again,
that's factual.
Exactly. So they can't sit back and just say, we're going to play in the paint. No, if you do that, we're going to shoot your lights out. So again, if you want to try to come out and play us outside the arc, then guess what? We're going to cross you over, Allen Iverson crossover, and we're going right past you, easy layup. So at the end of the day, I feel like you got to have the Kobe and Shaq attack. You know, you got to have somebody who can pull it from the top and somebody who can get nasty in the paint. And then you got other guys, Robert Ory, guys like that, that can actually, you know, complement the team. So I think that's how you win championship. My opinion, if I had to build my team, it's going to be somebody who can shoot from the top. And then if we get trouble shooting the ball, we got a big dominant guy that we can get the ball to down low.
What it is, I think
you need that big guy down low, and you need somebody to stop the paint. Like I always say, you can't get any free baskets, any free layups in my house, and that's how a lot of big guys and big girls think. The house is ours. So correct, you do need those. You need a great point guard, you need a great shooting guard, and you definitely need a great post player.
She said, not in my house.
Not in my house.
She said, y'all got.
The Batambo say no.
Right.
They said the tree said, not in my house. She said, you're gonna have to do something else. My man Hank found us on YouTube. That's Hank Deasy. That's him on YouTube. So Hank, glad you were able to find us on YouTube. Yeah, look, at the end of the day, it's gonna be like this. This is what the Hawks are gonna do. They are gonna apply a lot more pressure on teams. It's really gonna get down to, are they going to be able to stay healthy? That's the key, because the two guys that they're really going to defend on to put a lot of defensive pressure on other teams are guys that suffered with injuries, which is Cam Reddish, and I just drew a blank now. DeAndre Hunter. Those two guys are the game changers for the Hawks. There's no doubt about it, because even though they're technically wingmen, they both are stout defenders. And so what the Hawks are going to try to do is they're going to try to make sure that the wing players for other teams are bottled up by these two guys. The other thing, too, is a guy that's going to really impact this team with his length is the guy they just picked up in the draft, Jalen Johnson. I mean, I got to give big kudos to the unsung hero of this Hawks team, which is, their general manager. I mean, he has been pretty much spot on since he's been here. I mean, he's pushed all the right buttons, from the trade, which even I doubted for a little bit, the John Collins first. All these moves that Shrink has made has been point on, and this draft was a steal. Jalen Johnson is a player, and to get Sharif Cooper in the second round, who was graded out to be a first-round player, yeah, this team is going to be tough, especially if they do decide to kind of draft what Tyrone said, and it was actually the great Nolan Richardson back in Arkansas when they won the NCAA title in the 90s. He said, we're going to give y'all 40 minutes of hell. And basically what they did was they pressed you and played stout defense the whole game. So, by late in the game, what the hope was that you would be gassed and wouldn't be able to make those shots that you might have normally make. So it's going to be very interesting. But like I said, the big key for the Hawks is, can they remain healthy, especially those two guys?
Yeah, I really don't think that any team in the NBA, and including the Hawks, I really don't think there's going to be as many injuries this year as there was last year, for the simple fact that I feel personally the reason that there were so many injuries was because the NBA did not get their full rest. They went ahead and played again so that they can get the NBA schedule back on track. And now the players were really injured, because we all know that you need to recover. You need to rest your body. Now they're getting the rest that they need. And so when they start the season in October, I think that they will have a completely different health mentality on most teams. I don't think that we will see nearly as many injuries as we saw this past season, because their bodies are getting the rest that they needed. So we'll see.
Well, LeBron said he felt it was a big problem having this happen. And the other thing, too, is we're going to have to take a good look at the guys that played in the Olympics. We certainly appreciate what they did. But, some of these guys, like, they had some long seasons, especially what's his name from Phoenix. That guy's been playing like the whole year, Devin Booker. Yeah, he's been finals, then to the Olympics. So, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, what we all are looking for is for all the teams to remain healthy, because we know that's going to make for a competitive NBA season. I think next year in the NBA has the potential to be one of the best NBA seasons ever. Again, the big asterisk is, can everybody remain healthy? So we'll see. But, yeah, definitely I think the Hawks, they're in great position.
Yeah, and I think on the injury front, again, this was the first time that teams played back-to-back, so to speak, in a shortened season. So I do believe this about the human body. If it is continuously put in an environment, it will adapt. So if you do try to introduce the body to something that it's not used to, then it will break down. So I don't think they will have another season back to back like they did. Hopefully everything with the pandemic gets better and they'll go back to regular being basketball. I don't think you'll see a lot of injuries. But even if they do have to go back to back season like they did, I think the human body will adapt and you'll still see less injuries because the training will go up. So you have to adapt. And that's what life is about. If you can adapt, you will continue to win. But if you can't adapt, believe me, you will not be there at the end.
Well, that's the truth. I mean, you have to constantly change. You have to constantly adjust to what's going on. You said, I think the injury thing is good. And really what's going to get down to, I think, is what team style is going to be dominant. I mean, if you look at the case that you guys talked about before about a big man can't really guard a small man. Well, at the end of the day, Coach Bud found a way to utilize the length of his big players to really basically frustrate the Hawks and Trae Young quite a bit. If you remember Charles Barkley, Mark Lopez talked about the guy couldn't move, couldn't guard anybody. Well, once Coach Bud put him in a better position, made him pick up Trae a little bit further out and not sit back there, it became a lot tougher. Same thing with Giannis. That's what he did against Phoenix. What those bigs did where they said, although we're bigger, we have wingspan and we're going to funnel these guys into a zone type offense. If they're going to beat us, they're going to have to hit them 35-foot bombs. And everybody ain't Damian Lillard. Everybody can't be hitting out there from 45%. Most of them guys, even Trae, as good as he is about a 33 to 35% shooter. So we're just going to see, man. We're going to see if Milwaukee's style of play, in-your-face defense by bigger guards and big men that can kind of clog the middle, we're going to see if that's going to be winning basketball when everybody's healthy. Because right now, they're the champions.
Yeah, you got that right. They are the champions.
You got it. You got to beat them out. What you say?
I said that they are.
That they are, no doubt. Milwaukee Bucks did what they had to do. Giannis and all the boys did it. All right, we're going to take our final break, and then we actually are going to talk a little Falcons football. We'll be back in just a moment. Keep it locked right here on the Real Talk Sports Show. Don't go anywhere. Thank you. We'll be back. Nothing better than the sound of diesel in the morning. And what better place to get high horsepower diesel than the all-new 2020 Ford F-250, now with 475 horsepower and over 1,000 foot-pounds of torque. You know where to get it? From me, the minister, Jonathan Simmons at Allen Vigil Ford Commercial Sales. Because you know why? I'm the commercial truck guy in the shirt and tie. Yeah, for a while I couldn't even play that commercial. I mean, we had no diesels in stock. I mean, this whole thing with the computer chips, I don't know if you guys are aware of it, the semiconductors, we had no big diesel pickups at all. So we are fortunate now. I think we have a total of 3 or 4. So thankfully we're back doing what we need to do. All right, have you guys had a chance to follow the Falcons? As I mentioned before, pads on, helmets on. They were able to get to it here. Tyrone, what are your thoughts about the new Falcons?
Well, my point of view, this is the, I guess you can say, acclimation point. This is just where you're trying to get the feel for the guys that you drafted, the guys that you brought in for free agency. But the Falcons are on a different front. They have a new coach. They have a new system. So for them, even Matt Ryan being around as long as he has, this training camp is probably the most crucial training camp. So for all those guys, I know it probably takes them back to maybe their rookie year when they had to learn a whole new playbook, just coming fresh out of college. And now you got to learn a new, thick NFL playbook. But the great thing about it, again, you got veterans. These guys understand what a go route is. They understand what a slant is. They understand what an outside blitz is. They understand what 1/3, what that means. So now it's just about learning the terminology and the offensive line, and the defensive line. Those are the biggest things coming out of training camp that you want to make sure is glued together, because without a great offensive line, Matt Ryan, he's already, he's not the fastest guy in the NFL. So, you don't want to make him have to do no more than what he needs to do. And defensively, if they can't stop the run, put pressure on the quarterback, then I don't care who you have back there in the secondary, it's going to be a long day.
Tree, what are your thoughts? You get a chance to see him much, and if so, what are you thinking about how this team looks so far?
So far, they're looking good. I'm just really excited to see once they make it down to the final roster, because I'm really curious to see how great they're going to play this year. I think that they do have potential with the guys that they have drafted this year. They still have some missing pieces, but I'm really curious, especially to see how the new tight end is going to do. I think that will be a big piece for the Atlanta Falcons and their offense.
No doubt. What you're going to see is I can tell you right now, in the season, early and often, you're going to see Mr. Pitts be a target for Matt Ryan. I did notice that when I went to Mercedes-Benz. He was targeted repeatedly by Ryan. Now, Tyrone, you said something that is kind of interesting, and they made a little joke about it. The coach said something in the press conference. I think even you said, hey, the guy was just trying to be funny, but he said they needed Matt to play faster. And I can tell you that's one of the things that I observed from watching is that the plays still seem to take a while to unfold. And it's apparent that they are looking for Matt to pick up his tempo, especially getting the ball out of his hands quicker. You know, that's one thing, as you know, Tyrone, which, you know, your former teammate was an expert at, is that you can put as much pressure as you want, but if the guy's getting rid of the ball, 1, 2, 3, gone, it's kind of hard to sack him. I don't care if he's a statue or not because the ball's not in his hand. So there's no question that the Falcons brass is looking for Matt to maybe shift back to his early Matty Ice days, get that ball out of his hands very quickly, be very decisive on that first and second read, and then they're hopefully going to run the ball enough so that the play action fake, when the plays do take a little longer to develop, the defense actually will bite. But there's no question, you hit it on the head. This is a lot like the year before the Super Bowl with Shanahan, where, you know, there was a little bit of odds because Shanahan said, I need you on the naked bootlegs, the rollouts. This coach and this offense is expecting some of the similar stuff from Matt Ryan, and it's going to be some pressure on him to step his game up, even at age 36.
Definitely. And like you mentioned, all quarterbacks, they have a read. They got the first progression, second progression, third progression. And sometimes you have that quarterback that wants to go through all of the progressions. Well, the greatest example I can give as far as a quarterback getting that ball out of his hands very quickly. And they would say this about this particular quarterback that I'm about to mention. And some people may not like it, but they say you got to get him off the spot. Get him off the spot. Get him to rolling. Get him to running. And that quarterback, which people are not going to see him this year, Drew Brees. Drew Brees was excellent at that. Man, once that back foot hit, the ball now it's right. So what Matt probably has to learn how to do, hey, if the first progression, second progression is not there, third maybe, but then dump that ball down to your check down. Pick up what we can. Instead of holding the ball, waiting for this particular third option to come open, and while you're waiting, you got the defensive end, that linebacker, the blitz coming, and boom, now you've gotten sacked. So you got to get rid of those miscues like that, because those plays are hurting you very bad.
Well, you know who has been stirred up? Mr. Todd says about Matt Ryan, that dog don't hunt anymore. Well, it better hunt. Yeah, because the Falcons, that's who they decide to go with. Like you said, again, I think the coaches, you know, Tyrone, you can watch a guy on film and obviously get a good idea of what he can do. But as a coach, it's a lot different when you're on that field and able to view that player, trying to run your offense and do some things you expect them to do. And I think that the coaches, that's why he said what he said about Matt being faster. I think it's a little disappointment, and they really need Matt to pick up his game, or else, I mean, you know, A.J. McCarron, he's no superstar, but he's pretty good. And I really do think they want to ultimately have the successor be Felipe Frank, because on paper, he looks like the guy that's a modern-day NFL quarterback. He's fairly mobile. He's 6'6", 240, good arm. So I think that's the end game for the Falcons if he continues to develop.
Yeah, and you know, I know Tree want to say some stuff too. I'm gonna say this. You know, Matt Ryan. When you look at Matt Ryan, he's not a Patrick Mahomes. He's not a Tom Brady. He's not an Aaron Rodgers. Come on, we just be real. He's not a Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, guys that you basically can say, hey, here's the ball, take it and go with it. Josh Allen just got that big payday up in Buffalo. So I know there's a lot of people like Lamar Jackson who's like, oh, man, I'm glad you signed that big deal. But when you really look at Matt Ryan, when he ranks amongst those quarterbacks, he's kind of just outside of the top 10, so to speak. But he's closer. He and Tannehill are kind of closer when you look at the ratings or you rate the quarterbacks. And I think you're going to see a similarity of Tannehill and Matt Ryan, even though Matt Ryan may be, in my viewpoint, better because Matt Ryan has obviously more experience. So he should do and fare much better in this offense. But like you said, Jonathan, they're not looking for Matt Ryan to be that guy that's going to be the Falcons quarterback for the next 3 whatever years. They're looking for Matt Ryan to lead as much as he can this year, but they are already looking for the next quarterback.
Tree, what do you think?
I mean, I think Tyrone said exactly what it is. And Matt Ryan, yeah, he's a good quarterback when you look at his stats. His numbers, he does have good numbers. He doesn't have great numbers, but he does have good numbers. And again, I agree that they're not looking for him to be their long-term quarterback. So they're just looking for him to have a successful year, maybe another 2 years. But I do think they're also looking for their future quarterback, and they just want him to be able to produce so that they can have a winning season. Of course, in their minds, they would like to make it to the playoffs this season and next season, but they're just looking to see him be productive and to throw great throws and run a good offense to get them moving forward as a program.
Yeah, I think that's sums it up. Let's go to social media right here. Let's go to our good buddy, Mr. Todd. He said Tyrone, if he was still playing, he'd be licking his chops, facing Matt Ryan at 36.
I'm telling you, we gonna be blitzed. We blitzing Matt Ryan because we know there's no threat. And I always go back into the day because I believe that there were some great quarterbacks, but they used to say you cannot blitz Dan Marino. Do not blitz him because that ball gonna come out, like you said, Jonathan, so fast. He gonna pick up the blitz and he gonna hurt you. But Matt Ryan, he continue to hold on to that ball. We know he gonna hold on to it, so we gonna blitz him up the middle and contain on the edges because we know he can't get outside. And next thing you're gonna see him ducking. You're gonna see him ducking that blitz in, or he gonna try to force it in. And hey, pick six, interception, hold the ball up like Deion, high stepping down the sideline.
Wow. Hank Deasy, also on YouTube.
Hey, Matt Ryan, that's my boy. I love you, Matt. Love you, man.
He hears that Michael Thomas wants out of New Orleans. Yeah, there's been a little friction there. Yeah, it's just crazy. I mean, Tree, you talked about the fact that he's trying to get 2 good years out of him if they can. Let me ask you a question. What would you like to see out of a quarterback, Tree, coming to Atlanta? What kind of quarterback would you like to see?
Honestly, I would like to see somebody that throws, that has a great arm. I would like to see somebody who, when they see the blitz coming, they can make a couple of moves and still score a great play and get a first down. I want to see somebody who is smart and who's not just taking forever in the pocket. Someone that has a quick release. So I want to see a quarterback that brings the energy. When you think of the city of Atlanta, at least for me, I can never not think of Michael Vick just because the fans loved him so much and just how he played the game. If we can get a quarterback in here that brings the energy, that does all of those things, I think that would be really huge for the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let's go back to social media here on YouTube. Todd still throwing shade at Matt. He says, Matt makes $3 million a game. Are we getting our money's worth? Yeah, so here it is. And Todd said what everybody's saying. They said we had a shot to get that man, but they passed on him, Tree. That's Mr. Fields, who's playing up in Chicago right now.
Yeah, I was shocked. I was shocked when I saw them pass on Mr. Fields.
Yeah. And there's so many other things that the Falcons, really need. I'm like, if you go back and you just look at on defense, an edge rusher, okay? Matt Ryan can play his lights out this year. But if they can't stop nobody on defense, they got a defensive lineman, Grady
Great
Jarrett.
Jarrett. Yep.
You know, he's ranked, I would say, probably in the top 10 in the NFL. Interior lineman. But when you look at the edge rusher, you know, who is that person that can step up for the Falcons and put pressure and get the ball back to Matt Ryan in the offense if they were to catch fire? And everybody, you know, like we said about baseball and the Braves, you can catch fire at any time. You know what? Matt Ryan may be so motivated that he catch fire. The offense catch fire. Now they will be talking about the defense. We ain't got nobody who we can't stop nobody. We can put points on the board, but we can't stop nobody. So I think the Falcons is really coming out of this camp. Hopefully they have decided and found somebody who is an edge rusher that can go along with Grady Jarrett and, you know, put some pressure, would make it easier for the secondary, because really you look at the secondary, the corner, they really don't have anybody that the league would probably say is a top 10 corner. So, but you can become a top 10 corner with a heck of a pass rush.
Yeah, I mean, they do have a young man everybody seems to be pretty hyped on, and that is, of course, the guy who was a rookie last year, A.J. Terrell. That's the buzz around the camp, that he has the potential, and that's a big word, potential, to be a top 10 kind of shutdown corner. He's been playing lights out so far in practice, but it's practice, so we won't know until game day if he's been able to improve, because the last half of the season he was an outstanding quarterback. There's no doubt about that. So yeah, we'll have to see.
You're right. And I look at and again, I don't want to hog up everything, but you know, you look at Jalen Ramsey with the Rams, and you look at Alexander with the Packers. You know, it's like so many people. You got Howard, Xavier Howard with the Dolphins. He just signed a deal. You know, those guys, when you look at some of their stats, man, they are doing good. You know, they might have gotten targeted a certain percentage of time, but you know, it was a lot of incomplete passes. But again, AJ Terrell, nothing taken away from him, but even he would say, any great defensive back would say, I'm only as good as my front seven.
Well, I know Tree's an advocate for that. She's all about that defense.
I am. Defense wins championships. And like Tyrone was saying, other defensive players that you go against make you better. My husband always credited his line for making him as good as he was, because he would always say that him and Johnny Randall, they went against each other. So there was never a moment in time where it was like, okay, you go ahead and get this sack, I'll get the next one. No, they were still fighting each other to get that sack. They both wanted it. So it was never a time where they were just like, oh, he has it, let me back off. No. And he said that's what made them great.
Yeah, there's no doubt that you named two just beasts off those two lines. And John Randall, I mean, I know he probably wasn't, but that guy looked like he was crazy. I mean, just watching him, he was kind of the exact opposite of your husband. I mean, he the black paint, he just looked like he was a madman all the time. So, all right, speaking of madman, let's go.
He talked a lot of junk on the field.
Oh, he did, but he backed it up. I mean, yeah, he backed
did.
It up. Speaking of talking some junk, let's go back to social media. Todd says, what makes me mad about Matt is after a loss, he doesn't seem mad. He always just gives the same quotes. Falcons need to move on from him. I'm sorry. The 28-3.
You know, some guys do it in the locker room. You know, some guys kind of like, I understand, you know, when it's a heated situation and the game is on the line, you know, sometimes you got to go down that bench, the offensive line, and you got to tell them, hey, y'all got to get your butt in gear, man. We got to go. We got to get this done. We need to get this ball into the end zone. Come on, guys. We're not doing what we're supposed to do. Somebody step up and make a play. So, yes, I get it. You need someone to do that. And, you know, maybe Matt is just that guy. You know, hey, he is just that laid back, and I'm going to let my performance, you know, because you can't deny his numbers. The guy got some great numbers. But, I think you got to have an attitude to go along with that. So, maybe he'll do that this year.
Oh, remember they played that clip where they had him mic'd up, and everybody got so excited because the offensive line was having a little problem. I think we're offside, and all you can hear Matt saying, "Get blank and set." And they played that, I mean, a gazillion times. The first time you hear Matt swearing, and everybody was just so hyped about that. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, I told everybody about this guy. The guy's a corporate guy. All right. I mean, he's a corporate guy. He's a by the numbers guy. He very rarely calls audibles. He doesn't say anything too controversial. That's why the Falcons like him. That's why Atlanta likes him. And if you expect him to change now, he might give you a little bit more fire if the coach keeps prodding him. But I mean, he's the best way you can describe Matt Ryan. He's a cut above average. Yeah. And that's not, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just an honest thing. I mean, he's a cut above average. He's had a couple of good years where he's really been an outstanding quarterback. You can't, I mean, regardless of what everybody says, if all his numbers are padded, this and that, the other thing, the bottom line is, especially in the first 8 years or so of his career, the guy made about 2 or 3 Pro Bowls. You can't just make them being a clown or average quarterback or it's all Julio because he put up big numbers with Roddy White. Matter of fact, a lot of people talked about, now I know Roddy White's game had developed after Mike left, but he was a guy that Roddy White was struggling with Mike Vick. He found all the cylinders thrown with Matt Ryan. So we can lambaste this guy all we want, but people forget the first 6 or 7 years of his career, outside of his playoff flops, the guy was considered a top quarterback. So,
wow. And I think he's better than a cut above average, but that's just my personal opinion. Yeah. But hey, everybody has their own opinion on Matt Ryan, but I do think he's a little better than that.
Yeah, and I say this, the guy did win the NFL MVP, people.
Right.
Let's not forget that. And then he was surrounded with good players, wide receiver wise. Look at the Falcons wide receivers. Okay. Kyle Pitts, he better jump on very quickly and make a very big impact, which I do believe he will, because I only say that because he's coming out of college. There's not a lot of film on him, so they're only going off of college film. But let's see what Kyle Pitts does in his second year. Now every team got a full year of footage to see what his weaknesses are and what his strengths are and how the Falcons try to use him. But, you look at the Falcons wide receivers. Again, Matt Ryan had that great season because he was surrounded with some good receivers. Now he only got Calvin Ridley. And Calvin Ridley, when you look at and compare him to all the other receivers, now a lot of people going to really get upset when I say this. You look at the top 5 receivers right now, in my opinion, okay? You got, and I'm looking at Pro Football Fantasy. Okay, they got Devontae Adams, number 1. I think he's a good receiver. I don't know if I put him at number 1, but he's a good receiver. You got DeAndre Hopkins. I'll put DeAndre number 1. That boy there is something special. Then they got Tyreek Hill, the cheetah. You got to put him up there. And then they got Allen Robinson with the Chicago Bears. And here's where they don't want to hear it. Julio Jones at number 5, Tennessee Titans. He's still the 5th best receiver according to a lot of people. And then you got A.J. Brown, Tennessee Titans. So now Tennessee has 2 receivers, where it should have been 2 receivers here in Atlanta, Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones. And then you go on, you got Michael Thomas, who we talked about, Stephon Diggs, Buffalo Bills. And then at number 11, Calvin Ridley. So Calvin is going to have a real big game, real big season to leap past a lot of these receivers and hopefully be that number 1 guy for the Falcons. But Julio, they still see him at number 5 best receiver, even though he didn't have a real productive season. So what does that tell you, huh? What does that tell you?
Well, look, at the end of the day, man, Julio is one of the greatest wide receivers in history. If you watch the NFL films, when you see guys like Larry Fitzgerald and other guys, when they're mic'd up and when they see Julio, they all say the same thing about him. Oh, this guy's a beast. He's the guy. So I'm not taking away from Julio at all. Okay, let's do this. We got a few more minutes left. Let's go to social media. Todd is just typing. I don't think his fans can type any faster. All right, here we go. He gave me some kudos about the take on Matt being a corporate guy. I appreciate you on that. Then he said, Matt seems happy to get his 300 yards, those 10-yard slants. But, man, we need somebody that can light a fire on this team. And what I see, he rolled his eyes when the coach mentioned about him getting faster. And then he also said, Tyrone, please, you drinking. Julio is not Oh man, top 10 anymore. That's what he really means, top 10. So he said, hit the happy sauce. So
Just tell him to go and look at read what people are saying, his peers, not somebody who is not playing and not throwing no shade. But again, if you haven't played in the league yourself, I'm going off of what peers say. It's just like people on your job. I can say, hey, you don't do your job good. But if I ask people on your job, they say, oh no, he's fantastic. That's what I listen to. So I'm listening to the peers, people who see this guy play, who watch film on this guy, who study his every step. And again, Matt Ryan, I'm like, come on, man, get out the guy. I'm like, he's in the NFL. He's the quarterback right now. So let's try to give him as much support as possible. And who knows? Maybe a pat on the back from the fans will ignite him. But at the end of the day, as far as getting everybody up, rah, 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 man, look at here. These are grown men playing in the NFL, getting big-time paychecks. That in itself should get you up, okay? Just Matt Ryan should just concentrate on doing his job. He shouldn't be having to tell the offensive line, come on, eat breakfast, eat lunch. No, come on, you're a grown – boy, you about to make me say something. Man,
yep.
You know what? You gonna let me pump you up? Come on, man. So that's not his job to pump people up. It's Matt Ryan's job to throw the ball where that play tells him to throw the ball.
That's kind of it, man. Now let's just get the facts straight here about Mr. Ridley. Okay, I like to always kind of go to the stats. All right, I'm going to go to the NFL 2020 receiving stats. So these were the actual stats from the NFL recorded from last year. Okay, and let's go down the line. Number one, the most yards were by Stephon Diggs. He had a staggering 127 receptions for 1,535 yards. Next was Travis Kelce, a tight end, 105 catches, 1,416 yards. After him, the man, DeAndre Hopkins, who kind of really has taken a mantle over from Julio as being the best all-around receiver. He had 105 catches, 1,416 yards, 11 touchdowns. 23 of them in excess of 20 yards a clip. Then you had the young man from LSU, John Jefferson. He had 88 receptions for 1,400 yards. Who do you think was next after him at number 5? Oh, look, it's that guy that ain't a top 10 receiver, Calvin Ridley, 90 receptions, 1,374 yards, 9 touchdowns with a quarterback that ain't named Mahomes, that ain't named Josh Allen, that ain't named Tom Brady. A guy that everybody knows in the league can't throw deep.
But again, let me say this, man. Everybody big on stats. Now, again, my thing is, it's like, where did those 1,300 yards come from? Was it in the fourth quarter when the other team was up and they in a prevent defense? So you got to break – that's why I don't like stats. There are certain stats that you like, man, don't even pay no attention to that. Like on defense, don't pay no attention to how much the run defense we're number one. That don't mean nothing. That just says they're throwing the ball more than they run the ball against you. Or basically we're number one in pass. Well, that just means they run the ball against you more than they're throwing. What you need to look at is how many points they scoring against us. Okay, we're giving up 14 points. That means you playing some heck of a ball. So again, some stats you can read them off, but then the question comes, when did those catches come in? Nothing against Ridley, but again, people are quick to throw stats out there. 60% of people disagree with Biden. Well, who you ask? We just asked everybody in Southwest Texas. What? But see, they'll throw them numbers out and make it blow up like everybody is talking about Biden. Come on, man. It's the same thing. Where did those stats come from? How did they come? That's what I want to know. How many first downs did he get?
Tree, help me out, please. Help me with this, man. He's out of control. Help me out, Tree. Help me out.
I have to say I agree with him because, don't get me wrong, I think stats are important. But I also say that stats don't tell you everything. I used to tell the same thing to this mom when I was coaching her daughter in volleyball, and she wanted to come to me with stats like I didn't take my own. And I would tell her, well, the stats are not showing that your daughter, she'll say, oh, you're playing this setter over my daughter. She missed 2 serves just like my daughter did. Yes, she did. But she did not miss her serve under the net. Okay, she didn't miss her serve to the right of the pole. So to me, it matters how you miss the serve. So I see what he's saying. There's some things that the stats don't show. So yes, you do. Stats are important, but there are things that stats don't show with players. And so I see where he's going with that, and I agree with him completely.
Well, I'm gonna send everybody to the house, doggone it. I'm gonna do that right now. Let's go and take those stats. You said first down. Let's see what the NFL says. NFL says receptions that resulted in a first down. Number one, Travis Kelce. 79 of his 105 receptions went for first downs for the Kansas City Chiefs. Number two, DeAndre Hopkins, 75 of his 115. Number three, Stephon Diggs, 73 of his 127 went for first down. Likewise, Devontae Adams, 73 of his 115 went for first downs. Darren Waller, tight end, 69 of his 107 receptions. And two notches below him, at 65 of his 90 receptions went for first down. Oh, look, it's Calvin Ridley. So it appears that Mr. Ridley had probably one of the highest percentages of catches for first down of his catches, 65 of 90. That's almost 70%.
I like that. I take that. Those means
real stats.
Ball moving stats right there. They're moving the ball. But like I said, 1,300 yards. Yeah, I'm like, come on, man. How did you get them? You know, hey, they just threw me a crossing route, and I just kept running.
Wow.
Oh man, but again, first downs, those are ball game-changing situations.
All right, we're closing with Todd. He said, if the Falcons win more than 5 games, I'm buying all your new trucks from Jim Ellis. Oh, wait a minute. Don't we mention no Jim Ellis? Hold up. Let's get it straight. We don't mention Jim Ellis in this house. The guy we mention is this fellow right here. I'll put him on the screen so y'all don't get it twisted. Mr. Alan Vigil. There he is, Alan Vigil and Alan Vigil Ford. That's who we buy our vehicles from. If somebody mentions another dealer again, I will not post your comments on the page at all. Let's read it. There it is. Alan Vigil Ford. I'm putting it up here, big bold. There you go. Alan Vigil Ford Lincoln. AlanVigilFord.net. That's our primary sponsor, so don't act crazy. All right. We got to go. I can't fool with y'all people no more. All right. Let's wrap it up here. Let's go around the horn. We got to let everybody know how they can find out more about you. So, Mr. Tyrone Poole, the floor is yours.
Simple. Tyrone Poole, 38. All social medias. It's an honor and a privilege to be on the Real Talk Show. Ms. Tree, thank you. Minister, thank you.
Tyrone Poole, 38. I got to get up on the screen before he goes. There it is. Tyrone Poole, 38. Don't get it twisted. There you go right there. All right, Tyrone, man. Until the next time. God bless you, sir. All right, let's go to the tree. We got to take off the Tyrone information here. And we'll get him. There we go. And now, Ms. Dolman, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. You can find me on social media. It's Latresa on all social media, as well as Ms. America International 2020.
There it goes right there. It's on the screen, boys. All in purple, like the Purple Diva. We like how we do it. All right, I know y'all don't want to follow me, but I don't care. I'm put it on here right now. You can follow me. Do this. Follow the show. Why don't you go ahead and follow the show first right here. Here we are. Follow us at Real Talk Sports 7. You can follow me personally at Minister J. Sims. You can see it there. If you want to contact me or contact the show, it's jsimmons@realtalksports.net, or simply give me a call on the cell, 678-410-9833. All right, guys, before I go, I want to encourage you, if you don't know the Lord Jesus Christ, your personal Savior, please, ma'am, get to know him today. Nobody loves you like Jesus. You can see this world is going crazy. So if you want to have a relationship with God and he no longer be the man upstairs, but actually be your father, you have to believe that Jesus Christ came to this earth, fully man and fully God, died for your sins. But when he rose from the dead, simply by you believing in this, voila, 2 good things happen. Number 1, you become a citizen of the kingdom of heaven. And number 2, you become an adopted child of God and have all the rights therein. That means you can live a life well lived here on the earth, not problem-free, but well lived. And number 2, you get to go to the happiest place ever created, called heaven, where there's no pain, no pandemic, no problems, no bad people, no politics of any type. It's always bright and sunny and shiny because the glory of the Lord illuminates the whole place. And guess what? No more pain, no more dying forever and ever and ever. And you get to hang out with God and Jesus Christ forever and a day. That's pretty cool, huh? And you avoid that nasty place called hell. All the places, all the things I mentioned that are in heaven will not be in hell. You got bad people. It's terrible. It stinks. It's dark. And you're cut off from God forever and a day. I don't know about you, but I like option number 1 instead of option number 2. Everybody, listen, until the next time, God bless you. Oh, we got one more comment from social media. There it is. He said, my bad, 6 games, LOL, from Todd. Okay, that's to wrap it up. All right, guys, listen, we appreciate you very, very much. Remember, follow us anywhere on social media at Real Talk Sports 7. Until the next time we see you again, God bless you and have a great night. So long now. Bye.